Now, we all know that IndyCar drivers love spending time with their fans here on the track, but now they found an even better way they can keep in touch no matter where they are in the whole world. Welcome to Twitter. I noticed that a lot of drivers tweet, a lot of athletes tweet now, so when did you kind of get started doing it?
I actually don't do it myself. I have a team of 7 people. 7 is the right number.
Okay.
And we all have a contest for the next tweet, who's going to have the best one, and that's the one that they fake it's me that we post. No, actually, I do them, and Twitter is the one thing between us. I really don't enjoy Facebook, because I think it's not a... It's either too personal.
Yeah, I think it is too.
You know, or ends up being just a marketing group doing it for the athletes. So I don't like it. But Twitter is actually, I don't know one driver or even celebrity, whatever, that they don't do it themselves.
Right.
So it's the only kind of genuine thing that allows you to follow somebody you like to follow, and,
right.
and allows us to have a direct contact with a fan without being too personal, right? At the end, I just tweet whatever I want, and nobody can get out of me what I don't want to say. So I think it's great, and I'm a big fan of it.
Okay, now, do you find that you're a Twitter reader too?
I do. I follow like 100 people.
Wow.
What I think it's a good number, because if you start following more, you just...
It's too many.
You don't really read anybody, because you just, have too many. And 100 is almost too much.
Right.
But I like because honestly, I like knowing what people that I like or I may like think about, and
right.
That's the other thing I like about Twitter, when people communicate their thoughts. I don't really need to know their agenda, if they're at Starbucks or they're in the bathroom or they woke up 2 hours late today. I mean, I really don't care, but let's say if I am following
a friend or
whoever I'm following, I want to know what they think as, the last movie they saw, if they liked it, so
okay.
I get the real opinion of that person. Or what do they like? I had this food and I like it, blah, blah, blah. So I like Twitter.
Some people are even using it sort of like as a news tool. Sometimes I go on and I'm looking at things, and all of a sudden, I read that there was an earthquake on the East Coast. I'm like, wait, because here I am in sports all the time. It's amazing how some people are using it for news as well.
Yeah, especially you can find some journalists that actually do a great job. Some people that may be covering a war or or any interesting event.
Yeah.
It's an easy way for them. It's not like they have to do a full press release of what's happening. Like us, it's happening during the day. They can just, tweet, even if it's just one sentence here and there. And I agree with you. It's just a great way to keep up with people. And some other people, like, I don't know, Jay Leno, Letterman, and
right.
Conan O'Brien, I follow them all. They all have really funny things to say. I mean, they are funny people and smart people, and it's a great way to get more of them. So I like that.
For the longest time, I had no idea what Twitter was.
Okay.
And it was actually one of the guys who helped build my website. He said, Jim, this is it. You got to get on this Twitter thing. This is what everybody's doing now. You got to, if you're going to be somebody, you've got to have a Twitter account. And it took me about a year to figure out what that meant.
Okay.
So that's probably... It was probably mid to late 09 that I started tweeting.
Okay. Now, for some people, it's kind of like eating cotton candy. Like, once you get started, you kind of can't stop.
Luckily, that's not me. I mean, I might go on like a little thing where I'll reply to like 4 or 5 people at the same time, but I mean, I've gone 2 or 3 days without getting on it, and that's perfectly fine with me.
Okay, now, are you a tweeter reader?
If I'm like checking it a lot during the day and I go on and there's like 20 new things, then I'll read those. But if I've been off it for like 2 or 3 days and it's like 300, I just skip. I miss 3 days of Twitter. I don't know what's going on in the world.
So you just like go back to like the ones that are most recent and then start over?
Yeah, I might read the last 10 and just sort of like, yeah, that just summarizes the last couple of days for me. I don't really need to go any further than that.
I know what you mean, because sometimes I'll click on it and I'm like, whatever that number was way too many to like go back and read all of them, for sure.
I mean, you and I are far too busy to just be sieving through hundreds of tweets.
Now, do you feel like it's kind of a good way for you to connect with the fans?
Yeah, that's honestly the only reason I've got it.
Okay.
I don't think that anybody genuinely would care what I do with my day. I am not an interesting person in any way. But
You're a little interesting.
I mean, more interesting than that, cooler maybe, but that's about it. And so for me, that's my biggest thing is it is a great way to connect with fans and you get your personality out there a bit, because in racing, if you watch the race on TV, unless you finish first, second, or third, you know, all they see is your helmet and your car going around. And even if you do finish first, second, or third, it's a 30-second interview, and that's what they get to learn who you are.
Right.
And for most of us, there's more to us than a 30-second interview after a race.
Yeah.
So it's a huge tool in that respect, and it's all about the fans for me.
Started tweeting a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And I started with my brother-in-law. He's like a very computer geek, like put it this way. He's the one like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So like, you gotta teach me, and I'm the worst one to learn. But once I got going, you know, it was really good. The fans, I'm using the Twitter more to interact with the fans, but in so many ways. Like when you have good results, it's great to have that. When you have a bad result, which I have in a lot of this year, the comfort that they give you, it's so cool, you know. You know, sometimes you have some people that express their feelings, and but it's nice to talk about it too. So for me, it's a good tool of you know, keep them informed and things like that.
I know you also tweet in Portuguese.
Yes, sometimes you know. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna talk to these people in English, and I'm like, oh, I gotta talk in Portuguese as well, because people might want to know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like a little hard work, but it's okay, it's fun.
Okay, now, do you find that you're also a Twitter reader as well?
Yes, I do follow, you know, some of the news, you know, to sometimes knowing what's going on in the whole world, and you see your fellas, your friends, you know, a little bit. So yes, I do follow. I do read as well.
It's interesting to me because sometimes I'll be on it and I'll be reading, and I hear something before I've even hearing it anywhere else on Twitter now.
The only thing I still didn't figure out, of course, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, I still didn't figure out, like, sometimes you see a message, I want to read the message, like people come like talking about it, and that's like throws me off a little bit. I'm like, okay, just move on.
Well, now, who is the best tweeter of the Penske drivers? Who's on it the most?
Well, I think Ryan Briscoe. He is on it on the morning, in the middle, and he's talking about everything. And I think I come second, and Will is third, so it's kind of like in the middle there. But we three of us interact on Twitter.
Do you see how many followers you have? Do you know how many followers?
Yes, I almost 40,000. I'm only hopefully when we have this interview done, we're gonna have we're like 39,100, so we're like 900 to go. So it would be great to achieve 40,000.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. When we did the story in Long Beach about you being reporters, we put that on Twitter, and we got so many hits from Twitter. I mean, I checked it. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at now, everybody is watching. So you can broadcast anything on Twitter.
Yeah, no. Today, this social network is becoming so popular, and we know how important as well. So for not only for our fans, but for our sponsors, and it's fun too.
And you're good at putting the pictures on Twitter, I noticed.
I put the pictures as well. I like that. For me, it's more like that. I'm like, I don't like to keep writing, you know. I'm terrible writing, and my English sucks. So it's kind of like I'm gonna put the pictures, so pictures speak for itself.
I know that you probably tweet the most out of everybody here. So when did you get hooked on it?
When was it? The beginning of last year.
Okay.
I was actually we were at our pre-season IndyCar meeting, and the IndyCar PR folks were just talking about, you know, Twitter and how you can relate with fans, and you know, have them get to know you a little bit better. And you know, it was sort of a growing. I was late to it actually, getting into it at the beginning of last year, but I love it. It's a lot of fun, and you know, I like to do it. It's actually easier for me to do it away from the racetrack because we're so busy here, but I think I do a bit from the racetrack, and also, you know, get fans to see what I'm doing away from the track, and like to post pictures and respond as well and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Now, do you find yourself getting very involved in knowing the hashtags and talking to other people?
A little bit, yeah. I'm not I'm not fully into it, and I'll go sometimes without, you know, it'll be, you know, half a day or something, and I haven't looked at it, and I'll just skip over everything, and I've probably missed a whole bunch of stuff. But Some hashtags I make up.
Okay.
I don't know if any catch on, but yeah, sometimes we make some up.
It's funny, one of my interns is that he's in college and he said there's a class on Twitter, and I go, how dumb, like anybody can figure out Twitter. So he's like, okay, well this, and this, and I was like, I think I need the class for Twitter.
Yeah, I think I could do with a class for Twitter actually. You know, and just a way you can best interact and get people to see what you're writing about, and you know, learn about maybe what people want to see as well on Twitter.
Are you also a Twitter reader?
Yeah, I read. I try to, you know, but as I said, there are times where I'll go through a short period without checking,
right?
And I don't read everything. So sometimes I miss some stuff, but I guess I probably get, you know, 80-90% of who I'm following.
Do you find that you're also reading news on Twitter a lot now too? I know for me, sometimes I'll look through it and be like, I hear it on Twitter before I even heard it.
Oh yeah, massively, and you know, you get a lot of news from fellow, you know, racers, whether it's in IndyCar or NASCAR. It's a lot of fun to follow other drivers. You know, news alerts, whether it's about weather or anything. You know, it's impressive. It's funny. You go to a press box now at a racetrack, and all the journalists, I think, are getting most of their information from Twitter.
Yes.
You know, it's where the news comes first.
I started tweeting, I think it was only this year, a couple months into the season, and the reason I started was Verizon wanted me to get some followers, and you know, obviously Verizon being such a big cell phone provider, coverage provider,
sure,
wanted me to get on board, so I did.
Do you find that you like to interact, you can interact with the fans easier that way, or?
It's actually interesting. I think that you find what fans like and dislike a lot more than you could in the past.
Okay, and so in what way?
Well, if you said something in the media, you'll know about it straight away if they liked it or they didn't, if the public liked it or they didn't, or, you know, there's mixed feelings. So, you know, it gives you a better perspective of how you should act publicly.
Okay.
You know, and during interviews and so on.
Do you feel like you're also a Twitter reader? Do you like reading on Twitter, or?
I do, yeah. I mean, sometimes when you've done something bad or good, whatever, you get so many that you can't read them all. But you know, in general, yeah, you know, if you tweet something, you get replies and you can understand what people are thinking.
It's kind of interesting from a reporter standpoint, because I see a lot of reporters tweeting things, you know, and sometimes I hear about it on Twitter before I hear about it, you know, in the world.
Well, that's an amazing thing. I mean, this is where the world's going.
Yeah.
Soon. I can't see that it's actually all that good for media outlets, but you know, because obviously they'd be taking some business away from them.
That's true.
Because yeah, we find everything out on Twitter before it ever comes out on television, radio, or even on the internet. So.
Now, do you like to post pictures on Twitter as well, or?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Okay. Sometimes I, you know, I'm not crazy, you know, like just tweeting every single day, whatever. But if there's something worth tweeting about, I will. If there's like a good photo to take of me doing something funny or something that's worthwhile, I'll tweet it.
Do you kind of find that, like, the more goofy, the better it is, like the more fun it is, or?
I think that you got to have tweets that are funny, and I think that you got to have tweets that are serious and worth saying. You know, anything in between, like, yeah, I just went to the bathroom, or I'm just walking up the stairs, or I just took another step and another step and another. You know, I think that's just going too far.
I think that's kind of like obsessive tweeters, right?
Yeah, that's like when people sort of get bored of you and say, oh yeah, he's tweeting this. Yeah, he just got in the car and went down the street. Who cares? Yeah.
Now, how many followers do you have?
I think I've got 13,000 and something now.
Does it surprise you how it grows, or?
Mine's grown a lot, and like for not being on that long, I'm happy to get to where I am. I mean, I think Verizon would be real happy that I've got 13,000 now.
Okay. And do you do it all from your cell phone? Is it all tweetable through your phone?
Pretty much. I mean, you can do it on your computer at home, but pretty much on my cell phone.
You don't really have time for that, though, because you're always on the road.
Exactly. I'm using my Verizon Droid 2 Global.
There we go. And that's tweetable, yes?
That's very tweetable.
Very tweetable.
But I think I'm going to get the iPhone.
Yeah, okay, because Verizon has the iPhone now.
Verizon has the iPhone. I think that there must be another one coming out real soon.
Do you find that you feel like you're always up on the latest technology, or not so much?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not that, I'm not big on technology. I'm not, that savvy with computers and so on. So, I'm becoming more. But yeah, I get used to a cell phone, I get attached to it, I understand how it works, I'm very quick with it.
And then they change it.
Then they change it.
Right.
And so I tend to keep a cell phone for a long time.
Okay. Glad to be back in California?
Absolutely. Look at this weather.
I know, it's perfect, right?
Oh, it's lovely.
Can't beat it.
You can't.
All right, so hopefully on Sunday you're tweeting something in Victory Lane. How's that?
That would be exceptional.
That would be good.
Absolutely.